Welcome to Tuttle Talk on 1190 AM. Now, live in studio, your host, local real estate expert, Andy Tuttle.
Welcome back, Dallas. You're listening to Tuttle Talk here on the Real Estate Radio Network. I am your host, Andy Tuttle. You can reach us at 214-736-9696 or questions at andytuttle.com. And our new little cool gadget for you, you can text 72727. Just text Tuttle to 72727. You get a mobile business card, some links to our, you can download a little phone app, right, on your phone there to get the shows and updates and all those other cool things. So check that out as well. My special guest today is Lars Lofstrand. He's back. He is a serial entrepreneur. He's owned and run 17 different businesses. He was actually with us last month talking about moving beyond excuses. And today, he's going to talk with you about the 4 constants in life and how knowing what these are can change how you see the world, can create a paradigm shift for you and help you be more emotionally independent, financially independent, and really help you in your everyday life. Lars, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me back. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. And thanks for working on that accent. It's much more genuine this time. You're good. South Africa, where are you from in South Africa again?
In Durban, on the East Coast.
In Durban. Sounds like a made-up word, in Durban. That's good. That was pretty good, wasn't it?
It was pretty good.
Yeah, you've been back here in America 2 years.
Yeah, two and a half years, exactly.
Gotcha. Did you get a chance to watch any of the Republican National Convention?
You know, I caught a little bit of it. I caught Ann Romney and the guy that spoke after her from New Jersey. I don't recall his name.
I missed that, and I missed Ann Romney. I had to catch it all up afterwards on like YouTube, and I caught some bits and pieces. I caught a little bit of Ann Romney. I also caught some other speakers. Caught a lot of bit of Condoleezza Rice as well. And actually, something that she said was my favorite part of the convention. Actually, and was her speech, and she talked about getting involved with from a young age and how she came from really not knowing if she was going to make it, and at a young age getting told, hey, if you want to be the President of the United States, you can be that. And now she's the Secretary of State. And then she talked about 9/11 and where America stands. And she talked about this one bit about the military. And I thought it was really special, and it really kind of moved me. So, Danny, would you play that for us?
Since World War II, the United States has had an answer to that question. We stand for free peoples and free markets. We will defend and support them. We will sustain a balance of power that favors freedom. Now, to be sure, the burdens of leadership have been heavy. I know, as you do, the sacrifice of Americans, especially the sacrifice of many of our bravest in the ultimate sacrifice. But our armed forces are the sure shield and foundation of liberty, and we are so fortunate that we have men and women in uniform who volunteer. They volunteer to defend us at the front lines of freedom, and we owe them our eternal gratitude.
You see what I mean? I love that. She talked about the military, and just something about the eternal gratitude, and she's right. We do owe that. My business partner is a vet, and one of my mortgage coaches he was in the Navy, and my other guy, Neil, another mortgage coach of ours, he also served. Didn't you also serve in the military?
I served in the military too. In South Africa, we had what we call conscription, which was compulsory military service at the time.
So yeah. What does that mean? What does that mean?
Conscription means that when you reach a certain age, you have to go to the military. So kind of like what Israel does. Everybody of a certain age has to go to the military.
And you served for like 6 months to 2 years?
I did a year. It was 2 years, but they brought it down to a year with the fall of apartheid. So I only served for a year.
Okay. And do you feel like that's valuable?
Absolutely valuable.
Really? Seems like it would teach discipline. And
you go in a boy, you come out a man.
Yeah, no kidding. We should do that here, shouldn't we?
I think we should do it in all countries.
Yeah, no kidding.
Gives good discipline.
Yeah, absolutely. People don't know what they're doing. Well, here you go. We'll get you some discipline in your life. Stop messing up. That's you know what? It'd make us feel a little more serious and understand. Because right now, one of the challenges I feel is that the war being so far over, we're so protected from it. And I don't think certain pockets do, but as a nation, we don't really get the weight of what's happening. And that is something that would definitely, once you serve, I'm sure you get the weight much more.
You definitely have a different perspective once you've served in the military.
Well, I'll tell you this right now. One of the things we do, we wear our boots every month. Lars, I know you already have your military boots, so at the beginning of every month, we wear our boots. Those that are military just wear their boots or unless they're broken down, which some of them are, and we buy them new boots. We ask you to get your boots on at bootcampaign.com and wear them with us. The first Friday of every month, we wear them and take pictures and post it. And our whole office now has our Boot Campaign boots, and it supports a lot of charities. It's actually 4 military wives that started this charity, and it just supports like Wounded Warrior, just a whole list of charities. And so go buy your boots or other accessories there. Support the troops, no matter what, whether you're Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter. The troops are there. Support them, Boot Campaign, and their families, which is what this does.
Great idea.
So bootcampaign.com. Okay, Lars, last time you were here, last month, we talked about moving beyond excuses. Do us a favor and recap what happened. What is moving beyond excuses all about? What did we talk about last time?
Well, I think last time we spoke about quite a few things and we planted some nice seeds. Obviously, we had a limited time to talk about such a big topic, but I think if I could encapsulate it in one sentence or one quote, it would be this: if you don't like what you're getting, change what you're doing. Here's the challenge. Most of us are doing the same things over and over again, expecting a different result. And I think it was Einstein who said that that was the definition of insanity. And I think that's what we kind of do, you know. What it implies, that quote, is that we need to be accountable for our actions. And I think society in general has conditioned us not to be accountable. We're kind of blaming everyone and everything around us except the person who can change it. And I think what we spoke about just in general last time was how we blaming the economy. And I suggested that don't waste a perfectly good recession.
That's right.
There are more millionaires made in a recession than there are in boom times. So it's really about opportunity. Look at the opportunity and you'll see the opportunity.
Well, I remember one you posted, you had that picture of all the companies. What do all these companies have in common? And they were big companies. Was Coca-Cola was in there? No, it was...
I think Pepsi was in there.
Was IBM in there? Was there a...
I think IBM was in there. Apple was in there. A lot of the drug companies were in there. GM was in there.
Right. There was a whole host of huge Fortune 500 companies now. And you ask, I think, what all these companies have in common. We got a lot of good posts on it and views. Nobody got it right, which is fine. But they got some things right, but not what you were looking for, which is that those companies were started in a recession or a depression.
Yep.
And that goes to your point.
Well, and that shows you that you make more money and you probably excel when things are bad, not when they're good. So you make money when you buy, not when you sell, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what you need to know. So that's good stuff. So yeah, and the blame thing, we have too many jokes about that really, as far as, we make fun, and I hear a lot of it on the media, even talking about, well, Obama needs to get me this, and this needs to happen here, and it's like we kind of make light of it, but really deep in our subconscious, that is something we really believe should be happening, and that changes the way, what we're going to talk about in a minute, I think, which is the paradigm that we have and how we see things, and because of that, we resist certain change in our lives that may be positive for us because we believe that things should be a certain way, and that may just not be the reality, but our perception of it.
Yeah, well, and also I love that saying. It says, wherever you go, there you are. And I think we get to a place and we tend to blame everything and everything around us except the person who's to blame, and or the person who can actually change things. So change is critical.
It is. You're listening to Tuttle Talk. I'm talking here with Lars Lofstrand, owner of Capacity Coaching Company. Actually, also recently acquired Halo Realty Group with Britt Morris.
Yes.
And I think he is the broker of record on that. And you guys just had an opportunity and used to coach a lot of real estate companies, and now you own one. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. We did quite a bit of work with a lot of the large brokerages in town, and I'm grateful for what we learned from them. But an opportunity came up for us to buy a brokerage, and we did.
That's good.
And we haven't looked back.
That's right. And you've changed the paradigm shift of that, and we're going to get to that in a minute. But speaking of, to go into today's topic now, which is about that, we are going to talk about the 4 constants of life. So what are those? Get us into this conversation.
Well, let me do this before we start and maybe share a story with you. I want you all to think out there. I want you to think about, you've just taken delivery of a brand new vehicle. Now, this is the vehicle of your dreams, the vehicle you've always been dreaming about owning. You've just taken delivery of it. You've been given it free of charge. You're on your way to go show your best friend because you're really super excited about getting this brand new car, this brand new vehicle. I want you to picture that vehicle in your mind. Then I want you to picture that you're driving along this beautiful, very small, narrow road along the beach. There's a sheer cliff face up the one side, and there's a sheer drop down the other side down to the sea, and you're driving along this road. You've got your window down, or if it's a convertible, you've got the top down, the wind's in your hair, the sun has just risen, the sun's on your face. It's an absolutely gorgeous, beautiful day. You're driving along, and all of a sudden you come around this corner and you see heading straight towards you is another vehicle. Heading towards you on a collision course to crash right into your vehicle or crash right into your car. You notice at the last minute, just about at the point of impact, the other driver, you notice he too had his window down, enjoying the view, enjoying the lovely breeze in his hair. He's got his window down. You notice that as he's about to hit you, he manages to gain control because he's lost control. He manages to gain control, pull the steering wheel to one side, and he misses you by a few inches. You also notice that as he passes your vehicle, he sticks his arm directly out the window, pointing directly at you, and says to you, or yells out to you, "Pig!" Let me ask you, how do you feel, Andy?
Like I want to kick somebody's backside. He's the pig. I'm not the pig.
Well, and when I share the story with people, that's probably what most people say. Most people say,
put this car in reverse.
They put in reverse. They try to turn it around.
Too narrow.
They do sign language that they learned.
Yeah, that's right. I would definitely flip him the sign language.
Well, and that's what happens because you think to yourself, why is he calling me a pig? He was to blame. He was out of control, heading straight towards my brand new vehicle. Anyway, you gain composure and you carry on your journey, only to come around the very next corner. And right in the middle of the road is a pig, and you slam your vehicle right into it and you write your vehicle off. Now, how do you feel?
Okay, maybe I jumped the gun.
Okay, and that is what we call a paradigm shift. We go from one way of thinking to a total opposite way of thinking. We judge the person based on what our paradigm was. And I like to start with that story because I think we need to talk about having a paradigm shift, because having a paradigm shift is critical to move beyond excuses, move away from the things we know to the things we know we should be doing.
Yeah, that's good, man. You sure he didn't drop that pig in the road for me? I think
He probably did. Maybe it came off the back of his truck.
So, okay, that's actually a very good story. And that's kind of the core of everything that you're talking about. And
yes.
Everything. One of the main reasons I bring you on this show is because I think desperately in our country we need a paradigm shift. And it starts at the individual level because we have old habits, and they're saying old habits die hard, and it's true because your subconscious is there to keep you normal, right? And I like this example of it's like the when you tell your kids to wash the dishes, they'll wash the dishes, but not the pots and pans and not silverware. Your subconscious does exactly what it's told, and unless you shift, you have a mind shift there, you're going to keep doing the same things, like you say, expecting a different result, but you're not going to get it.
Well, that's exactly what it is, and that kind of what relates, the paradigm you have, how you see things, is what your attitude will be towards things. And they say that the way you see the world is not the way the world is, but rather the way you are. So if you want to fundamentally change the world, you would have to fundamentally change who you are. When you change who you are, you fundamentally change how you see the world. Not that the world has changed per se, but you've changed. And that's what's required to change the world.
That's good stuff, man. And that is actually the thing about change, because the four constants, what are those constants in life?
Okay, well, the four constants, what I call the four constants in life. In other words, the four things that I believe everything hinges on. Everything in life hinges on these four things, and they're constant.
Actually, that's great, because you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stop you right there, because now I am going to say that coming up, we're going to get into those four constants, okay? We're going to talk about those and how that affects you in your life. Great story about the pig. I feel like that actually did happen to me. I think that was a personal story you were sharing, and I don't appreciate that. But that's good about Paradigm Shift. This is Tuttle Talk on the Real Estate Radio Network here on 1190 AM. We're talking with Lars Lofstrand, owner of Capacity Coaching Company and partner in Halo Realty Group. We will be talking with him about these four constants and about how that brings that down to a business level and your own personal life level. So stay with us.
This program is brought to you by the Real Estate Radio Network. Visit realestateradio.us for more info. That's realestateradio.us.
Are you a grandparent? Do you want to make sure the assets you leave to your children make it down to your precious grandchildren, and your children don't lose them to divorce, creditors, or lawsuits? I can help you make sure your assets make it down to those precious grandchildren. You can reach me at 214-736-9696, 214-736-9696. I'm Lee Hilton, and I help you protect the two most important things in your life, everyone you love and everything you own.
Real Estate Radio's Tuttle Talk in Dallas is hosted by local real estate and finance expert Andy Tuttle. The purpose of the show is to help consumers understand what's really going on in our local real estate market. We're teaching you the why and the how-to, so you'll always be one step ahead of everyone else. Whether you need to sell your home for top dollar, refinance and save money, or even buy a bargain in DFW, Andy Tuttle can help. Call Andy directly at 214-736-9696. That's 214-736-9696. Take advantage of speaking with Andy anytime you're entering a real estate transaction. Having someone who can answer all your questions that truly cares about you and your family's best interest is priceless. Call Andy today and you'll be glad you did. 214-736-9696. That's 214-736-9696. Or you can visit andytuttle.com for more info.
Do you have an insurance strategy? When is the last time you had a policy checkup? Do these sound like odd questions to you? Well, they might if you are used to hearing insurance agents talk only about all the money they can save you on your insurance. Saving money is important, but with insurance, saving money on premium may cost you big dollars on claims. Why? Because not all policies are created equally. So, if you come across someone who does not have a clear insurance strategy, or you yourself don't, they probably need an insurance review or a policy checkup. And John Allen with Texas Community Insurance can help. He is trusted in the industry, and he has helped me and many of my clients over the years save tons of money and get properly insured. Call 214-736-9696. That's 214-736-9696, and we will personally introduce you to John Allen to get that review, get that checkup, and take care of your needs. You can also reach out on Facebook.com/Tuttle Talk.
In the Metroplex, there's only one station you can turn to for the Savage Nation. Join me, Michael Savage, weeknights at 6 to 9 p.m. on 1190 AM KFXR.
And we're back. The Tuttle Talk Show here on Real Estate Radio Network. Thank you so much for joining us. I am your host, Andy Tuttle, and I told you I was going to do that every show. So just get ready. I'm going to stay consistent. If that's one thing about me, I'm consistent. Actually, don't ask my wife that. But you can reach us at 214-736-9696 or become a fan of the show at Facebook.com/Tuttle Talk. And don't forget, at the end of the show, I'm going to show you how you can win a free month of electricity, which is pretty awesome, and show you how to text and what number to text it to. And I'll give you a hint. That number is 72727, but I'll tell you what to text there at the end of our show. We are with Lars Lofstrand here, owner of Capacity Company, coaching company. He's actually owned 17 businesses, and he's on his 18th. He is a partner now in Halo Realty Group as well, and we are discussing the constants in life and how that can help you in your own personal life create a paradigm shift. So, Lars, welcome back, and go ahead. Let's get into those four constants.
Well, as we said just before the break, there are four constants, and everything in life hinges on those four constants. And here are the four constants: change, truth, time, and choice. Now, let's take a look at those four things. Change is a constant, and I know that sounds a little bit like an oxymoron, but change is a constant, and the less you change, the more by default you will be changed. So change is really, what change boils down to is largely perceptions. They can relate to perceptions of truth and not truth. Truth is the same yesterday as it is today as it will be tomorrow. So they're things that are constant. Now, granted, we don't always know truths, and we can discover those truths, and sometimes the truths we have may be true to us, but those are in fact perceptions, if that makes sense.
Right.
And those things change. Let me give you a practical example. If you take us just a couple of 100 years ago, we would have all believed that the world was flat. Would you agree?
Right.
In fact, people died for saying that it wasn't flat. We know today, just because we've circumnavigated the globe, we've photographed it, we've gone into space and we've viewed it, we know that the world is not flat, and in fact it is round or geoid in shape, flattened at the poles. Yet the truth a couple of 100 years ago was that it was flat.
Right. They even said there was like dragons at the end of the
Correct.
earth that would swallow you whole.
Correct.
Right. You would not get out there.
So, does that mean that it changes the fact of the truth of the matter that the world was around? No, it doesn't. So the truth was always that the world was round. But they just didn't know that. So in fact, those are some of the things that change, and that's a very practical example. And truths are the same yesterday as they are today, as they will be tomorrow. And we need to hang our hats more on truths than on the things that change. Here's the challenge with change too, and I'll use another example, is that if you look at when computers first came out, we all learnt to work those computers in the DOS program. How comfortable would we be today if Windows came out and we didn't change with Windows? We'd be very uncomfortable because we'd be one of the few people using DOS, us and a couple of programs.
Yeah.
Exactly. We wouldn't be able to get anything done. And that's why it's critical for us to change. Here's the challenge, is that a lot of people I meet, in fact, probably most people, they talk about change, yet they don't want to change. In fact, they say that the large majority of the things, I would say 99% of the things we do as human beings are not through choice, but rather through habit. And that brings us on to the next two. So we have firstly change and truth, and then we have time and choice. So if you look at that, we looked at the choice side. We have to make choices in order to change. And then we also have certain time limit or time we have our disposal to use to make those changes. You know, I used to be quite exclusively involved with the time management business and the time management training business, only to be very frustrated. The reason being is we would have, very successful people, very busy people coming on our training courses, only for us to teach them to put more things in their day so they can get more things done. The challenge was that they were just chasing their tail a lot faster, getting less done or more done, but with things that they shouldn't have been done. In other words, we call that busy being busy, getting nothing done. So if you look at those four constants, we have change, truth, time, and choice. And here's the saying I have in those four things. How you choose to spend your time between change, perceptions of truth, or truth itself will determine what you get.
In other words, how you line yourself up to what's real?
Correct. So the more you can focus or the more you can align yourself with true principles, the more you'll get out of life. In other words, if you choose to waste your time today, when you put your head on the pillow tonight, that's exactly what you will get in return. Right. Likewise, for those religious people out there, how you choose to spend your lifetime may determine how you spend your eternities. And that's why time and choice are a critical factor. And what we focus on with the change and the truth is so critical in getting what it is that we need to get. And here, going back to the saying that we originally had, and I said in the beginning of the show and even on the show before, if you don't like what you're getting, change what you're doing. And it's actually so simple that we miss it.
You know, that's really powerful information, Lars. Let me ask you a question, because you said if you don't like what you're doing, or if you don't like what you're getting,
change what you're doing.
Change what you're doing. But you said with the time management that's so hard. What can you do? Like, what are the first steps to start that change, right? Because here, let me give you this example first. I think this is a good one. They did a study, and I can't remember it now. My wife's going to be like, that's because you never remember those details. And I heard this years ago, and it was, let's say I would give you a cup, an empty cup, plastic cup, and I'd put it on the table. But under hypnosis, I would say that it was 500 pounds. So then you would go over, and you would try to pick up the cup, but you couldn't pick up the cup. And they would measure, and it wasn't because it weighed 500 pounds, and they would measure your biceps, and your biceps are pulling up enough pressure to pick up this little glass that weighs 3 ounces, but you couldn't pick it up. And why do you think that is? It was because they actually measured your triceps, and your triceps were putting equal amount of pressure downward to keep the cup stiff, and you didn't know it, see? And so it tricks your brain. So what I'm saying is people want to make the change here, but it hasn't changed back here. They really don't expect that change. It's like the millionaire example we gave, the lotto winners that they still see themselves as broke and poor people. It doesn't matter how much money you get them. They will just spend it away because their normal is being poor and broke. So how do you help people see themselves differently, right? Because isn't that what you have to do?
It's exactly. And I think that's an absolute critical question. And that boils back down to what we call capacity. Each one of us as human beings have a certain capacity. And the example I always give is of a glass and a jug, or a pitcher, as you call it here in the United States. If I take that pitcher containing goodness or containing the water, and if I pour into the glass and I keep pouring, what will happen after a while?
It'll overflow.
Why? Because the capacity of the glass is not enough to hold the pitcher or the jug.
Right.
And that's exactly the same in life. Each one of us has a different capacity. And if you have a capacity on a lower level, that's what you will attract, no more, no less. If you have a capacity on a higher level, that's what you will attract, no more, no less. So in other words, and we spoke about it at lunch the one day, Andy, and I think it was Henry Ford who said it. It says, if you believe you can, or if you believe you can't,
right,
both ways you're right. And that's why a belief system is so important to have. But it's also the very thing that holds us back. Here's a great story. And cast your mind back to going to a circus. Have you ever been to a circus before?
Oh, yeah. Barnum and Bailey.
Well,
it was great.
Have you ever noticed the big elephant standing outside? He's got a tiny little rope around one leg, and on the other side, it's pushed into the ground, into a stake in the ground, a wooden stake.
He could rip that thing.
He could rip it out. He could break the rope very easily. Now, here's the question. Why do you think he doesn't?
Because he likes the trainer.
Let me tell you why he doesn't, Andy. At an early age, they take an elephant and they chain him with a huge chain. They put it around his leg. On the other end of the chain is attached to a big metal spike that has been either concreted or cemented into the ground, or being driven into the ground with this huge stake. And that little baby elephant pulls against that chain day after day, day after day, day after day, until finally he believes he cannot move. So all that they need to keep the male or the adult elephant there is a small little rope that they can feel something around their leg and see it going into the ground. That will keep them there paralyzed. Now, why do I share this with you? Because we are very much like circus elephants. We have these beliefs. We have these chains that hold us back. So that we believe, as your example you believed you couldn't lift that cup up, and you will actually make yourself not pick that cup up. So we almost end up becoming our own worst enemies because of the beliefs we have that hold us back.
Man, you're listening to Tuttle Talk here on the Real Estate Radio Network. I'm talking to Lars Lofstrand, owner of Capacity Coaching Company and partner in Halo Realty Group. If you want to get in touch with Lars about raising your capacity, call us at 214-736-9696, 214-736-9696, or questions at andytuttle.com. Lars, it makes me think a lot. It's like, yeah, that in my own life, and people don't realize, how much as a kid certain things get told to us. Most of what we have is second nature. There's a lot of things that are first nature, but most of the attitude we have towards certain things, what we believe we can or can't do, is second nature. We learned this mostly, like you said earlier, we don't change, but we are changed by the world around us. And those just happen to us and we don't know. And so now we believe certain things, whether it's about how relationships are or how we can do in business or what we can do, versus like Condoleezza Rice. She was told at a very young age, if you can be the president. I know she was like slinging burgers. You can be the president of the United States if you want to. She's Secretary of State. That is a huge accomplishment. And it's because she had a belief system that she could. And that's the psychology behind The Secret, right? So my question is, in business, what practical examples do you have of this in your own business? How do you use this on a practical level there? And what are some examples you may have of having a paradigm shift, having a belief system that wasn't like the norm, wasn't jaded, right? And let me just say this real quick. There's three types of thinking, and one is the most dangerous, is the people that always long to go back, right? There's past, present, and future thinkers. And when you are a past thinker, whatever is today, you negate that for what used to be. And so you may come into a job and then something was bad 6 months ago, and now that job is good, but you just start that job and you get those naysayers there. Well, they're going to tell you, oh, let me tell you how this place really is. Oh, let me tell you what's really going on here. And there's a lot of people, even in the real estate business, that have been in this business 20, 30 years, and they have, like you say all the time, 1 year of experience repeated 20 or 30 times. And that's such a dangerous place to be in that business, but you have a whole different experience.
Well, yeah, some of the paradigm shifts I've had is that I believe you need to, and going back to your example of people being in the business for a long time, they get a certain paradigm and they believe that's the way the business is. Let me give you an example. We've got some leads that we round robin at our business, and often we hear that, oh, these leads are no good. They don't turn into anything. So what I did was I said, give me one of those leads that nobody wants. This is what that lead turned into. That lead turned into 2 lease deals, 1 sale, 1 home sale, and 3 listings on a lead that nobody wanted. Why? Because I had a different paradigm of people that said the lead is bad. It's often not the lead that is bad, but the person who doesn't know how to convert the lead. And that means we need to change our paradigm. We also had another one, if I can just share with you very, very quickly. We had a listing that we took from another company because it had expired. They had it on the market for 6 months, listed at $220,000. It didn't sell for 6 months. So what we did, which is unheard of, most realtors, when they go and relist, they would either go 220 maximum or go lower. Would you agree?
Yeah, every time.
Well,
probably.
This is what we did. We went in at 229, so $229,000, $9,000 more. We sold that house in 20 days at full list price. That's a paradigm shift.
That's a huge result, too.
Huge result.
Sellers out there, I tell you right now, their ears are perking up. Huh? How did you do that?
Well, and most realtors, especially if they've been in the business long, say, well, that's impossible. You can't do it. It's only impossible if you believe it. If you believe it's possible, it's absolutely possible.
So in other words, you think those other people, they had it priced too low, one, and they didn't have the shift with the seller, and then you got full list, because typically they would up that. And guys, that is huge, Lars. That's why I like you, man. That's one of the many reasons. That is a paradigm shift. That's what we're talking about, and that's the power of that. Now, that goes to your personal life. That goes in the way you see relationships. Remember, like he said, that's, if you want to see the world change, you got to change.
Yeah.
Right? And you were going to say the better quote there?
There's a great quote that says that, I'll believe it when I see it. But actually, you've got to see it before you believe it. And it goes back to what we were talking about the other day, is that, most people are waiting around for knowledge before they take action. Oh, when I know this, I'll do it. But life actually requires you to take action before you get the knowledge, because knowledge actually comes from action. But because we have the fear of loss, or we have the fear of failure, we don't take action. We play it too safe. I'm saying if you hear anything from today and take one thing home from today, it's this. Go and take some risks. Go and risk yourself. Go and break your business. Go and do things you've never done before. Go and do the hardest things every day when you wake up in the morning. That's where the real value is.
Lars, thank you so much for being with us today. Next time, I know when I bring you back now, we're going to talk more about time, because I know you define that there's 4 quadrants of time, and we're going to talk about getting uncomfortable in your life and breaking some of those chains, because that's how you kind of shift your subconscious around, right? And it's called production discrepancy reduction. In other words, you have to pull yourself up to things. We're teleological beings. You don't even brush your teeth unless you see yourself doing it first. So you have to see yourself where you want to be. In racing, they call it focus on the recovery point instead of the wall if you want to get out of it, and if you want to avoid the wreck. And that's what you need to do. Stop in your life focusing on the wreck. Focus on the recovery point. We're going to talk more about that next time. And don't forget also to go to yourmortgagereview.com. Take 5 minutes to complete your short mortgage review this weekend and see how much you can save on a no closing cost loan. Guys, it's a long weekend, so do it. We'll get you in touch with one of our coaches, and they'll see if we can save you money or help you out with your purchase. You can call us at 214-736-9696 as well. And here it is. Guys, it starts this month. It ends the 30th of September. Type it into your phone. Get it out. 72727. Type in Andy T, no spaces. Andy T, no spaces, to get entered to win a free month of electricity. So we'll tell you more about that every single week. That's sponsored by Utility Concierge, and we'll have the owner of that on the show here in a couple of weeks. If you would like to discuss anything related to today's topics with me directly, call the show's off-air number, 214-736-9696. Next week, I'm going to talk with 2 real estate investors on opposite sides of the game. One is a buy and hold expert and owns apartment communities, and the other is a flip master. They'll show you the tricks of the trade and how to get started. So tune in for that. I'd like to thank Lee Hilton, John Allen, and Lars Lofstrand for joining me today. I'd also like to thank Danny Miles, our production director, and the entire family here at KFXR. That's it for today. Race Talk with Pete Hronis is coming up next. This is Andy Tuttle for the Real Estate Radio Network. We'll be back here next Saturday from 11 to 12 right here on KFXR. Save the station. Thanks for listening to Tuttle Talk, where we're making financial intelligence a priority in our community. Have a great Labor Day weekend.